Welcome to the Omaha Magazine podcast. It's about all of us, where we highlight Omaha business and community leaders, arts and culture, and where to dine and play. I'm Gil Cohen, Executive Vice President of Sales and Marketing at Omaha Magazine. Omaha has a rich history of talent and historic venues showcasing local and national acts. Joining us on this episode today is Joan Squires, President of OPA. As a well-respected arts ambassador for not only the Omaha community, but Nebraska as well, Joan shares with us the exciting live performance opportunities in the city and how much Omaha has grown into a must-stop for Broadway shows, top musicians, and independent artists. Welcome to the Omaha Magazine podcast, Joan. Thank you so much for coming on our podcast this, afternoon. We don't know when it's going to air, probably morning or afternoon, but appreciate you coming out. So I got a quick question for you. Did you ever think you were going to be in Omaha 22 years when you first got offered this job?
You know, I knew I wanted to come here, but I had no idea about a timeline. Yeah. So we really didn't come with any expectation. There was a few years, a lot of years, but this is the longest I've ever been pretty much anywhere.
That's great. And obviously, like Omaha, you're involved in the community, and you're well respected, obviously, in your position at OPA now. I keep wanting to say Omaha Performing Arts, but OPA. We rebranded, so now it's OPA, so it's easier to remember. Yeah. Or it's a toast when you're drinking. Either way. There you go. I like that one too. We should have had some cocktails here. I think I gave Sandy Buddha a cigar when he was on the show, but we couldn't smoke in here. So 22 years, the organization basically started from nothing and has grown to the state's largest arts organization now, correct?
It's been an amazing journey. Yeah, when I showed up, I've told the story that I got a desk, a computer, and basically a stagehand, and they said, go. Okay. But I saw the puzzle pieces were here, the opportunity to build this organization, and it's been pretty steady. I mean, there's times where we would plateau a little bit, but then we kept growing, and it's been an amazing journey these 22 years.
Yeah, and obviously you had some significant philanthropic support as well. I don't know if you want to talk about that a little bit and who was behind a lot of the planning, especially for the Holland Center and some of the other projects that you have overseen over the last few years.
Sure. No, and I think that was part of it, Gil. When I first was recruited to come here, I saw the opportunity because it's a community that cares about everyone and has really deep philanthropic opportunities if you have people show up in your buildings and you make your budget. But the people behind the scenes, the leadership that I saw in place, I knew we could achieve something here. So first of all, it was Dick Holland with his vision for a new concert hall at the time, and working closely with Heritage Services, who did the building, and I was in charge of getting the organization started. But Dick's vision knew that and renovating the Orpheum were so important. But he couldn't have done it alone. John Gottschalk was our founding chair and was chair for so many years, was the leadership piece that needed to be in place for us to really have the growth and the opportunities. And then actually the third person really joining them behind the scenes more was Walter Scott. So with Heritage Services, Walter understood what was important for community. And while he might not have been an arts person behind the scenes, he understood that it was something that helped us grow the community, attract talent, and really contribute to the quality of life. So those leaders, and particularly Dick and John, really helped this organization not just form, but flourish over those years.
And I remember probably about 5 or 6 years before you were here, I was part of a discussion. It was actually at the press club with the Young Professionals Organization. And one of the key factors that showed up in that discussion was what Omaha's missing is an arts center. And, 5 or 6 years later, boom, all of a sudden the Holland Center, or, you came to town and the Holland Center gets built and the Orpheum gets renovated. And now we've moved on to the Steel House. And pretty soon you're going to have the Tenaska Arts Engagement Center. What else is going on?
Well, we have to get through. Well, we'll get through this next phase. Steelhouse has been an incredible success for us. It's just been such fun because it's another market segment. It really targets 18 to 45-year-olds, although I've got folks a lot older than that love that building. And it's bringing in bands and acts and comedians that have just skipped our city because nothing was of the right capacity. It's the right venue. It's just cool. It's fun. It's a place people can gather. It complements perfectly, I think, the Holland and the Orpheum. And then now with our next phase is the Tenaska Center for Arts Engagement. And what's interesting, that really drove a lot of it, Gil. We were out of space for education and engagement performances and activities for young people. Kids were performing in our lobbies or rehearsing under stairwells and everywhere in the building. And we knew we needed space, but we thought the Steelhouse was really the first venue we should build to help us attract the audiences, help the revenues, and then Tenaska Center followed. So it's been the perfect complement to all of our facilities.
So the Tenaska, the Arts Engagement Center, is that basically just teaching, education, or what are they going to?
There's going to be a lot going in it. It's certainly
not a performance venue, is it?
Not per se. Now, the students can give small performances. We've got retractable seats in one of the rehearsal halls. There's places for them to perform for small audiences, but it's really to augment the activities we do and then grow them. But there's two other things that's going to, I think, help the community. One is camps and classes. So if you want to learn about Broadway or hip hop or things that we're starting to launch now, there's a chance to do those classes in the summers and at nights and on weekends. It also has a 500-person event space.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So overlooking the new Leahy Mall, all those events that we all go to, you have a place that the community fundraisers, weddings, corporate education events are going to have a perfect space with up to 500 people seated. And it will also, I think, add to what the community has to offer.
That's going to be a nice project. So after the engagement center, are we done building arts centers, or
we're never finished. It's Omaha Performing Arts.
If you don't want to talk about any upcoming projects, that's fine.
We'll get through these, but we're never finished because I think it's what's been so many things have been fun about it. But you continue to look forward and look at how you can serve a community, that you can attract and retain your workforce. You can bring these arts experiences to our community, and there's always more to do. You know, we started with Broadway, for instance.
I was going to bring that up. We didn't have any Broadway shows until you brought them to town, basically.
Well, we had a couple, but they were what they call bus and truck, and they may have had a show or two, and they weren't.
But it wasn't a series like we did now.
No, and they weren't memorable. Yes,
like the Lion
I saw
King.
Your Lion King, and that was one of the.
Lion King's been here for.
This is the third time. We just had the third time. Yeah. That was, to me, one of the highlights of over the years, though, that we finally got Lion King to come to Omaha, which was amazing. So we've grown that from nothing to, now 6, 7, sometimes 8 shows on a series. We're bringing everything from Lion King to Hamilton and more. And even this year, it's, Some Like It Hot, which won, awards. Kimberly Kimbo, which won the Best Tony as part of our series. We've got favorites like Peter Pan. There's so much on the series really for everybody, and it's been great. What
do you hear? Because I don't know if you're still on the board, but you were or still on the board of governors for Broadway. Is that?
I'm still on as an ex officio for a year or two. I rotated onto that role. I will get back on it again, and the executive committee. And currently, I'm co-chair of the Jimmy Awards, which is the National High School Theater Awards program.
Cool.
So I'm national co-chair on that. I'm on, I think, 4 committees. So I'm still very active. And I'm the state's only Tony voter. So I go regularly to New York because somebody has to see the shows. So I'm here to sacrifice for you, Gil.
No, that's great. I appreciate that's great. Where I was getting at with that is, what do you hear from Broadway? How's Broadway doing in New York compared to, I know we get quite a few great shows here, et cetera, but, is there new stuff coming out? Are they doing okay?
There's a lot coming out. I will say, I think coming out of COVID, that what we call the road, those of us on tour, recovered faster than New York because the tourism took a little while to come back. But if you go to New York now, it is jammed. It is bustling. And in fact, as we look forward for future seasons, we almost have more shows to select among than we have places to put them. So we're in a great position. What the shows that are coming out are just terrific. And Broadway's certainly back.
Okay, that's good to know.
It's been great.
We got to keep the Orpheum going.
Exactly,
So,
exactly.
let's talk a little bit about, because I think some of the listeners or viewers, if you're viewing this, don't understand the economic impact of OPA now, and I would venture to guess over the 20-year time frame, it's probably not tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands, but probably millions of people have come to shows, whether at the Orpheum, whether at the Holland Center, now with the Steelhouse, and I would venture to guess that economic impact's got to be $50-60 million to the city.
Yeah, we're over 61 million now, and
Wow.
that doesn't include, I think, everything with Steelhouse, and it doesn't include the Tenaska Center yet. So,
Okay.
you think about 61 million, we're in the short list of the College World Series or Mecca or some of the things that really have significant impact here, and it's a lot. We reach actually over 50% of our attendees are outside Douglas County,
Right.
and 20% are even outside the state. So
Wow.
we bring people downtown. They're going to the restaurants, they're parking, they're staying overnight.
Right.
And when they're here, then they may see the attractions in town or other things. But we're a big driver, and Steelhouse is now contributing to that greatly.
That's great, and that's just not ticket sales. That has to do with people are staying in hotels,
Yep.
eating at the restaurants downtown, maybe doing shopping. That's the entire economic
it's
impact.
all of it. It's all of it. And the workforce that we hire, because it's not just the staff that we have, but we will bring in the stagehands for the shows, the part-time people working our food and beverage services. We employ a lot of folks, and all of that has great impact for the community. And the thing to me, though, when I start to hear about our need to attract businesses and retain our workforce, people can come here and go, well, okay, we have great medical and wonderful education, and there's all these parks, and it's wonderful. But what is there to do?
Yeah.
And we help answer that question.
Yeah, that's great. And you're probably getting, I don't know, I was north of 500,000 people a year just coming to these venues, correct?
Yeah, it's
Somewhere in that.
well over that now. And I think in total, in the years I've been here, it's, I think, 6 million plus and counting. So
Wow. That's
lots of people have
huge.
been through. But it's
That's great.
I'll tell you what, there's nothing like standing in the back and you've worked hard and the whole team's put things together, and you watch people's expressions. It brings them together.
Yeah.
They have a great evening out. There's really not much you can do anymore that really does that. Gets them off their devices.
Yep.
They're all focused on the same thing. We like them on their devices to watch this podcast,
Yeah.
but we're get a chance to get folks in the room and
Yeah.
have that live experience.
That's great entertainment, and it's not like sitting home watching it on TV.
No, it's very different when you are feeling and seeing and hearing it with a lot of other of your, whether it's your friends, your family, just people, random strangers. It's just a great experience.
Let's talk a little bit about the Nebraska Theater Academy. You want to explain to our audience kind of what that's all about and how that started?
Sure. The Nebraska Theater Academy is really one of our signature education programs. It is for young people who are participating in their high school musicals across the state.
Okay.
So
it's statewide. It's not just
statewide.
Obviously, it's called Nebraska. It's not Omaha.
But
Theater
no, but it
Academy.
goes all the way to Scottsbluff and
wow.
Chadron. So we really do go across the whole state. We have almost 85 schools involved, over 8,500 students.
Wow.
We adjudicate their musicals, and we have an awards showcase at the end of it. But they get to have master classes with Broadway touring stars. They get to do audition technique, behind the scenes tech, how that works. And then at the end of it, we celebrate the great work in Nebraska, and then send 2 of our Nebraska students to New York to compete in the National Jimmy Awards.
Oh, that's good.
Which is really
Have
great.
We won?
Which is great.
Have any of our contestants or any of our entries
We've had a
won?
couple really good students over the years. And in fact, this last year, Samara Follett won the Rising Star Award out of 100 students on the stage at the Minskoff Theater in New York.
wow.
She was selected as really one of the stars out of that production and got some scholarships, which was great. Lauren Johnson a number of years ago was one of the fourth runner-up, and she was a finalist 2 years in a row.
So these are all for these are acting.
These are acting, dancing,
awards.
singing
Gotcha.
awards, and many of our students are now actively working in the industry. So they're on tour. We've got one student. She's now Sierra Lancaster is a producer on Broadway. So they've really seen careers. It introduces them, though, to the entire network, and they meet amazing people, and it really gives them a leg up. So you can be from a small town in Nebraska and find your way to Broadway through this program. And it just changes their lives.
How do, assuming somebody in Scottsbluff or Kearney or Alliance may be watching this, how would they find that information out? How is it through the schools?
It's through the schools. So their school has to do a high school musical,
Okay.
and that school has to also be a participant in the Nebraska Theater Academy. So if their schools are doing that, and if their schools aren't, their teachers should get in touch with us to get a chance, like, well, maybe we can be part of that program.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, that's great. That's nice that we're able to represent Nebraska. Obviously, we represent Nebraska the other night, depending on, well, I was going to say this will probably air later this year, but, we had Bud Crawford winning the other night, and Omaha Kid, and we have Omaha Kids going to New York for the theatrical awards, and it's just nice that you're just not Omaha-based, that you represent, your organization represents the entire state, which is huge. Is that unique to other states, or?
Well, no, this program is actually a national program. So there's probably 45 to 50 programs. We're one of the largest, if not the largest, of our geographic. We go across 2 time zones and 450 miles. And we've got probably within the top 5 number of students in the program. So ours is one of the earlier programs and truly one of the largest in the country.
No, that's amazing. That's very cool. And then more locally, there are some community collaborative projects you have going on too. So you want to explain a little bit about who you work with and how that works?
Sure. A big part of the mission for Omaha Performing Arts, it's our wonderful venues. It's these great performances, but it's also our education and community engagement. Mm-hmm. And we really do partner with organizations around the community, whether they're arts organizations or some of our other partners. One of the series we're doing right now, Gil, is Voices Amplified, which we started a few years ago. And we pick a place to focus. We focused on Black lives for a while, the first year or so. Okay. We have worked with different parts of the community. We have worked with the Latino, Hispanic community. And currently this season now, we're working with the differently abled community and really sensory friendly and people who have maybe some special needs.
Oh,
so some of the concerts coming up are Omicron Circus, which has it's a circus put on by people in wheelchairs or people who are differently abled. We've got different types of activities with our performances, making sure they're sensory inclusive. Mm. So we really want to make sure that we're welcoming for everybody. But some of our partners, Salem Baptist Church has been great friends of ours for quite a few years. We have been working with Canopy South on Global Sounds. We're really reaching so many, and we want people to feel welcome, that we are here for the entire community.
Right. And it's just not OPA, but obviously we have several other arts organizations that work with you. Obviously, the Symphony uses the Holland Center, the opera makes use of the Orpheum Theater. So you have to work with all those organizations and keep everybody going. It's wonderful because we have a wonderful symphony and they're home with the great acoustics at the Holland Center. And then Opera Omaha, which does wonderful productions at the Orpheum, which is our theatrical venue. Right. We're also partnering with the Omaha Community Playhouse. So those 3 organizations are all sold through Ticket Omaha, which is our box office, so that patrons can have one-stop shop. They can hold Ticket Omaha. They can buy tickets to all these great shows, whether there are our touring productions or our wonderful resident companies and colleagues. So it's been really good for the community, and now there's such a breadth of opportunity. I think it's really been super. weddings and things like that? Can they do that at the Holland Center? Or
Of course they can, right?
Okay.
At the moment, it's a little bit of a challenge to schedule sometimes because we have those performances that are in the building. So they take priority, certainly. But we've had weddings, recently. We have them particularly in the fall. And
they have a great restaurant there, Zinc.
And we have great Zinc. So pre-performances.
A food review.
You did a
Zinc
food review.
Not too long
we did
ago.
okay on that.
I think you did.
Our Chef Michael is just outstanding. And before performances, the restaurant's open, so they can come and have a bite. It's great.
Or you can sit down at the bar and overlook Jean Leahy Mall,
which is great.
Yeah.
And our new event center, Tenaska Center, so we'll be able to do many more weddings. And the food services is in all of our buildings. I mean, you go to Steelhouse and you're at the club level, and even at the bars, there's food available over there.
And like I said, this will probably, depending on when this airs, I think the series will be over, but OPA also oversees Jazz on the Green too, correct?
Well, every year we've been doing Jazz on the Green now for quite many years. And I think it's been close to 15 now. And it's beloved. If the weather cooperates, we can get, 6, 7 to 10,000 people out there on a night. And it's just, it is fun. It's dogs and Frisbees and everybody on their blankets having a great time listening to
everything
music.
But cigars, but that's okay. That's what it is,
Sorry, Gil. Not for Jazz on the Green.
If somebody says there's nothing to do in Omaha, they're living in a hole, because just with what OPA has going on, you could choose from a Broadway show. You could choose from Duran Duran. You could choose to the Omaha Symphony. Or
we've got jazz. We've got dance. In fact, we've had wonderful jazz artists, and so many coming up, whether they're renowned or new artists. We've got dance performances. And actually this year we brought back National Geographic, so I'm really excited about that series, which is super.
Yeah.
Those lectures are really fun, and then you get questions at the end by some 8-year-old.
Does he bring falcons with him?
Not so much, more of the videos. But we'll get some 8-year-old asking questions that you're like, where did you come from?
Where'd that come from?
It's really a super series.
So if people want to find more information about what's going on at OPA, where can they go find that?
Well, a couple of places. They want tickets for things, ticketomaha.com. They can go to opa.org. And for Steelhouse, it should be steelhouseomaha.com. So we've got a lot of information. We have an upgraded website now, so they should check it out. So that will be launched by the time this airs.
Nice.
Or certainly you can check Omaha Magazine, because Omaha Magazine has a lot of features on our performances. So that would be another place I would recommend for them.
Thanks for the plug. I'm sure Todd will appreciate that. And, I think sometimes people think that these shows are expensive, and they're not all that expensive.
Not at all.
There's ticket prices.
Ticket prices can start anywhere from $10 to $25, depending on the show. We often, if they sign up for our email list, we get pre-sale codes and sometimes discount codes. So they really should follow us on social. They should sign up for the email. And just take a look. You're going to find something you like.
Yeah. So take advantage of take a Saturday night or Friday night or whatever night it is. And if you haven't been to the Holland Center yet, or if you haven't been to the Orpheum, or you haven't been to Jazz on the Green or the Steelhouse, take advantage of those opportunities, because we do have some great arts organizations in the city, and obviously we have a terrific person that's been overseeing the venues for all these arts organizations and keeping everybody together. And I appreciate you coming on the podcast. Is there anything else you want to add before we?
No, we appreciate the partnership with all of you, and I love having a chance to talk about all this, Gil. So
that's great.
We just have more ahead. People should check us out. It's always changing, always changing.
There you go.
Always growing.
Great way to end it. Joan, thank you so much. Appreciate you being a guest on our podcast this afternoon, and we look forward to another 22 years in Omaha, I hope.
Thank you, Gil.
No, you're welcome. Thanks for joining us today. For more information on OPA, check out the show notes. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss an episode.